Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining me at this time. My name is Shavi Zane, and I'm coming on to bring a message for the chosen. So, if you find that this message resonates with you in any way, please be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment below. Check the description box for my email if you want to purchase or book any lessons or to purchase my cards or any of my other services. So, first of all, I have to start off by telling you all about a dream that I had last night, and then I'm going to get off into what this could mean for the collective. So, I had a dream that I was in this building with a lot of people, and apparently there was this man who seemed to have been a preacher or a leader of the group. He was very handsome, very well dressed, and I was drawn to him for that reason because he was very attractive. However, I was not there to be a part of the group. And there were purple balloons in one room, and the balloons had different phrases on it. So they gave me a balloon, and so I wrote on the balloon with a permanent marker what I believed, which was completely opposite of what the group believed. Um, and I wanted them to know what I stood for. I have no idea. I don't remember what I wrote, but I wanted them to know what I stood for. So I left it there with the other purple balloons. And so I left out of that area and I went and saw this man. We sat down and we had a meal. We were eating, it was chicken and dumplings actually. And he seemed very laxed in my presence. Like he was unsure of himself as far as like, um, he didn't have like that sense of authority in my presence. It seemed like he knew that I was very different from the other people who was there that really looked up to him and kind of saw him as being, everything, a god or whatever it is they saw him as being. And so he kept asking me, do you think I'm the second Paul? Do you think that I am the second coming of Paul? And so there was another woman that entered the room, and she said to him, she said, "Yes, I believe you are the second Paul." In my mind, I thought I wanted to say it to him out loud, but I didn't. I said in my mind, you could very well have the spiritual name of Paul, but you are you. You are not Paul. And I wanted to go off and tell him what my revelations were in terms of the biblical text and that particular quote unquote prophet by the name of Paul. But I didn't say it out loud. I just sat back and I observed him a little longer, and I started to see how insecure he was in his position. Amongst all of these people, he was in his power. But in my presence, he seemed to shrink as if he was uncertain of himself, like he knew that I knew. And he did some things that was a little devious with the woman that came in. And that's when I left because I was like, no, you will not pull me into whatever the heck this is. But it almost seemed like he was trying to siphon her sexual energy. Okay. And so I woke up. Now, I know that's a lot, but I definitely feel for the chosen that a lot of these people who have been in high ranking positions, especially traditional belief systems or various religions, where they had followers, they're starting to reveal themselves, especially in the presence of the true chosen seed. Those of you out there who have true spiritual wisdom, you're truly connected, you're channeling messages from the Most High and from other realms and dimensions. And so you see right through a lot of these spiritual leaders, and these spiritual leaders or religious leaders, I should say, even some of the spiritual leaders are being exposed. And the thing is, in your presence, they cannot cloak themselves. In your presence, it's like you see right through the true intentions of these people, but they, at the same time, they're drawn to you for some reason, because he was drawn to me. And he was drawn to ask me if I thought, like, my opinion about whether or not he was the second Paul, it meant something to him. He needed that validation from me in order to feel good about who he thought he was, or maybe who he portrayed himself to be to other people. But again, I did not give him the clarity that he wanted. The woman who did come in and say, "Yes, I believe you are the second Paul," he ended up taking her sexual energy. So there's something about the siphoning of the energy of the chosen. Now, it could be through the sexual energy. I've spoken about this quite a few times in terms of how the church specifically siphons the sexual energy of the chosen through rituals, whether it be through doing the ritual of the blood sacrifice, where you drink of the blood and eat of the body, which is supposed to represent the one that they call Jesus. So you're eating the flesh of a dead man and drinking the blood of a dead man. That is one way of siphoning energy. Another way is through the baptismal practices, where they're dipping you into the water and telling you that now you have been put to death and you are now being rebirthed, but now you are coming back in as a child of the God that they have directed your attention towards, which they call Jesus. Okay. And there's many other rituals that takes place, like the laying of hands and things of that nature. The music has a way of pulling on your energies, invoking or evoking certain emotions out of you, certain prayers that you say. There's many different ways that they siphon the energy. Now, that's just on the side of Christianity. But there are many other religious belief systems where they have particular rituals that they do in order to siphon the energy of the masses. And so I feel what's happening is now the veil has been lifted. There's not a whole lot that these leaders or religious teachers can do to hide the true nature of who they are, because the true prophets and prophetess, high priest and high priestess are now here. We've now awakened and we've come into remembrance of who we are. So even if you don't carry that title or you don't necessarily call yourself by those names, you still possess the true wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that the Most High preserved and set aside only for you to be able to obtain because of who you are, and because you would not pervert it and you would not misuse it and abuse it in order to gain some form of to be lifted up as a god before the people, or to lead people, into a particular direction that keeps them in a submissive, passive, weak state where they are at your mercy. You would not use those gifts and that wisdom in that way. So that's why the Most High preserved that understanding, so that when you awakened, you would have the access to it. And so if you find that you are attracting people who are in so-called high-ranking positions, in terms of being like religious leaders, or having certain positions within religious structures, and they're drawn to your energy for some reason, be very mindful of what they're there for. Why are they there? Why are they inquiring of you? What is it that they really want from you? Because I feel that the scales are now beginning to balance. And so karma is coming in heavy. It doesn't matter who it is. Just pay attention to what's happening in front of you. You see things, where people are being put out in front street. It's being revealed to you right there in your face who was really there to gain a position of authority over the masses, and who was really placed there, with the right intentions. They had the intentions of teaching people, but the line has been drawn. Okay, it's no more of that illusion where you can get swept up and say, okay, well, maybe this person has the right intentions, maybe this church is okay to go to. All of it is under the same umbrella. And so even if you have a particular spiritual or religious leader who went in with the right intentions, even they have to be questioned, because they have to teach based on a specific doctrine, and they are not able to veer away from that, because if they do, they can lose their position, or they will be, ostracized or put down. And you've seen that happen to quite a few religious leaders who decided to take the narrow path and to speak out openly about that. They got, blackballed and, ostracized and things of that nature. by their own peers. So this is the thing. I'm definitely seeing that the scales are being balanced here. You, as the chosen seed, you're being called to make it clear to people where you stand and what you stand for. And you're not meant to buckle, because in the dream, with me writing my beliefs on the balloon, the purple for me represents the third eye chakra. The other people, they had their beliefs written on a balloon, but they were all very similar beliefs. It was all in alignment with one doctrine, which was under the authority of that particular man, who called himself the second Paul. Whereas what I put on the purple balloon representing the third eye chakra was in alignment with what I have been shown without the indoctrination or the conditioning of that particular group of people in the dream or conditioning of society. And so I wasn't afraid to stand out, and I wasn't afraid for everyone to see, because these were purple balloons with helium. So they was up on the ceiling. So when you came in, you would know what that person represented. And so I was very open with that, nor was I willing to bend or fold in the presence of this person. Now, he was very alluring, again, because of his physical attractiveness and the way that he carried himself. I could see a person who's asleep being drawn to his energy and wanting to sit at his feet to gain his knowledge and to, give them most of your money every Sunday. I could see how that would happen to someone who was asleep, because they would be seeking the approval of someone that they thought was more superior for whatever reason, or someone who had reached a certain height that they wanted to reach. And so then they would think that that person somehow possessed a knowledge or a connection to the Most High that they themselves did not have. That's usually what happens in the church, especially when it comes to women, because the church is mostly comprised of women. So the sexual energy is siphoned mostly from the feminine energy, because the feminine energy is the creative energy. And so the more that you siphon and harness the creative energy of the woman, you're not only using that sexual energy to create more power for yourself, but you're also using her creative energy to siphon her spiritual gifts, because the woman has a strong divine connection to the spiritual realm, where she can tap in and channel messages much more freely and easily if she is in alignment with her feminine energy. And so this is why the churches are very particular about seeking the feminine energy. And so this man, as a very handsome and attractive man, very well dressed with charisma, he would likely attract women, and that's what he did. And so that's why when that woman came in the dream, she was more than happy to stroke his ego and to say, yes, you are the second Paul, when he asked me. He didn't ask her. But because she was willing to give him the answer that he wanted, he knew that she would be an easy target. And that's why he ended up going for her in a very sexual and promiscuous manner. So I watched this fold out. I watched it play out right there in front of my eyes. And so that's what's been happening behind the scenes for a lot of these spiritual leaders or religious leaders now. Okay. And I keep saying spiritual leaders because this is also happening in the spiritual community, where there are some people who are not meant to be in a position of leadership because they're perverting the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, as you know, on this narrow path of spirituality. They're misusing it and abusing it because they themselves have not truly done the work to heal. And so they may attract various people where they may be siphoning the energy. So just keep in mind, it's not just for religion, it's also in the spiritual community. However, all of these things are being revealed now. None of it can be hidden. And so I feel that that's something for you all to really think about, the energy vampires who are out here, um, who are seeking the energy of those of you who have not been tainted, those of you who have purified your energy and who have a true divine connection, true divine spiritual gifts. They are wanting to be in your energy in order to see if they can gain or pull on or get you to even turn over your gifts to them in exchange for your submissiveness. Okay. So they'll take your gifts, they'll place you in a submissive state, and it will elevate them, but it's not going to work, because in my dream, I saw right through all of it. There was nothing that he could do to charm me. There was no situation that I was placed in where I felt like I had to be passive or to shrink or to hide the truth of who I am. And so the tables have turned where we're not backing down anymore. And so a lot of things are going to continue to be revealed. I've had quite a few dreams about that in the past where I've spoken about it in way back when, in past messages about how the religious structure was going to begin to crumble because the truth is now being revealed about a lot of these so-called leaders who have been placed in very powerful positions and have been able to accumulate a whole lot of money, not only for themselves, but for the secret societies and cults that they are also attached to behind the scenes. So again, we're in the age of Aquarius, the time of the reveal, and no one is exempt to exposure. All skeletons come out of the closet, secrets are being exposed, and the spiritual, the chosen, the true chosen are the ones that's going to likely be exposing them in a lot of different ways, okay? Whether it's just you being in their presence and that light that you exude exposes their demons, because he was very nervous in my presence to the point where he began to question himself. And all he needed was for me to say, yes, you are the second coming of Paul. I think so. And that would have been enough for him to feel like he was still on top, and that as a chosen seed, I still was not ready to openly express the truth before someone who was so well respected by many. So that's my message for you all. Just be on the lookout for that. Pay attention to those who are coming into your energy talking about, hey, you want to give your life over to Jesus now? All right, now don't get caught up. Stand in your truth, stand in your power. Remember who you are and know that that divine connection that you have to the Most High, no man can give you that. No man can give you that. That is a divine connection that you have between you and the Most High Mother and Father that only you can create and only you can destroy. Remember that. I love you all, and I'll talk to you all next time.